Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this tutorial series, we are building this Wikipedia search website using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. In the previous video, we designed the UI using HTML and CSS. And in this video, we will add the functionality using JavaScript. So let's get started. Alright, this is how our UI looks right now. So let's go to our source code and let's go ahead and go to the main.js file. And the first thing we need to do is we need to reference some of the elements from the HTML. So if we go to the HTML file, here we can see that we have this search form, and when we submit the form, we need to do something. So we need to reference this form, which has a class of search form. And then we need to get the data from the input field. So we also need to reference this input field with a class of search input. And the next thing we need to reference is this results container, because we need to dynamically generate this result item division using JavaScript. So for now, I'll just go ahead and delete the second result item. We will use the first one to get to know the structure of our HTML. And later we will delete this as well. And the next thing we need to reference is this loader, because we want to display the loader when the search is being done. And after the search result appears on the screen, we need to disable the loader. So let's go ahead and reference these elements. Here, I'll just go ahead and type const search form equals document.querySelector. And we have a class of search form. And then we have const search input. And let's type equals document.querySelector search input. And then we have results container. So let's type const results container equals document.querySelector results container. And then lastly, we have const loader equals document.querySelector loader. Alright, first of all, let's add an event listener to this search form. So let's type search form.add event listener. And let's listen for the submit event. So when we submit this form, we need to do something. So we'll just create an arrow function over here, and we'll also get this argument, and we'll just call it E. And the first thing we need to do is we need to prevent the default behavior, which is reloading the page. So right now, if you go back and if I click on this search button, the page reloads. So we need to stop reloading the page. So for that, we need to go ahead and here we need to type e.prevent default. So this will prevent the reloading. And the next thing we need to do is we need to get the search term. So let's type const search term equals, and we'll get that from this search input field. So let's type search input dot value. And first of all, let's add an if condition, and let's check whether we have any value inside the search term. So let's type if search term equals blank. And we'll also add a trim over here so that it will remove the unnecessary spaces. And if you don't have anything inside the search term, then we'll just go ahead and add an alert. I'll just type please enter a search term, and we'll just return. And then let's go ahead and call a function. Let's call fetch results, and here we'll just pass the search term. So now let's go ahead and create this function. So before that, let's go ahead and let's see whether the search term is actually being fetched. So let's type console.log search term, and let's type search term over here. Let's go back to our website and let's open the console. And here let's type testing. Let's click on search. And here we can see that search term testing is being displayed over here. All right, now the next thing we need to do is we need to create this fetch results function. So let's go back over here. And let's create this function called fetch results. And we'll get this search term over here. So I'll just call it search term. And the first thing we need to do is we need to display the loader first of all. So let's type loader dot style dot display. And here we can see that we have set the display to none. So we need to set the display to block over here. And we also need to remove everything that we have inside the search results container. So let's type results container dot inner HTML equals blank. And now if you go back and if I click on the search icon, we can see that we have the loader being displayed over here. So now let's go back and let's display the results. So first of all, I'll just create a const called endpoint, and here we will add the endpoint of Wikipedia API. So I'll just add backticks. Now for the Wikipedia API, you have to type https://w/api.php, and this is the main base URL of the API. And then we need to add some more parameters. So we need to type action equals query. Now this tells the endpoint to use the query module to fetch the data. And then let's type ampersand list equals search. Now this means that the result should be a list of search results, not the full page content. Then we need to type prop equals info. Now this tells the API to get the basic search info about the pages. And let's type ampersand in prop equals URL. Now this is basically used to include the full URLs in the result. And then let's type UTF-8, which is an encoding format. And let's type ampersand format equals JSON. So this will give us the data in JSON format. Let's type ampersand origin equals asterisk. So this will solve all the coarse issues that we have when fetching from an external source. And then let's type ampersand SR limit. This is the search result limit, and let's limit it to 10 search results. Let's type ampersand SR search, and here we need to pass the actual search term. So let's type $symbol curly braces, and let's pass this variable search term. Right now let's use this endpoint to fetch the data. So let's type try catch, and here in the error, let's go ahead and type console.log fetch error, and let's type error over here. So it will give us the exact error. And in the results container, let's type inner HTML equals. Let's create a div with a class of result item, and here let's type error fetching results. Please try again. Let's close the div. And here we can see that we have started this loader. Now we need to hide this as well. So let's add a finally block over here. So this will run whether we have an error or not. So this will run every time we execute this try catch block. So here let's type loader.style.display equals none. Now here in the try, let's go ahead and type const response equals await fetch endpoint. Now since we are using await, we need to make this into an async function. So let's type async over here. And here let's go ahead and use an if condition. Let's type if exclamation response dot okay. So if the response is not okay, then let's throw a new error. Let's type network response was not okay. And after that, let's go ahead and type const JSON equals await. Let's convert the response into a JSON format. And at the end, we need to call a function, which we'll create in a minute. So we'll call this function called display results. And here we'll pass the data. So for now, let's go ahead and first of all, let's console log the data. So I'll just type console.log JSON data. Let's type JSON over here, and let's go back to our website. Let's search for something. I'll just type web development. Let's click on search. And here we can see we have this JSON data. And if I open this, we have a query inside this. And if I open the query, in the query, we have this search info. And above that, we have the search. And we can see we have 10 results. And if I open this, in each of these search results, we have all these different details. So we have the snippet, which we can use for the description. Then we have the title, and we also have the page ID. So let's go ahead and use this data for displaying the results. And we can see that the data is inside query search. So let's go back, and here when we call the function, let's go ahead and pass json.query.search. So now let's create this function called display results. Let's type function display results, and we'll get this argument called results. First of all, let's add an if condition, and let's check whether we have 0 results. So let's type if results dot length equals 0. Then we'll just go ahead and type results container inner HTML equals div with a class of result item, and you have to change this to hyphen. And we need to type no results found. Let's close the div and let's return. And if we have the results, then we need to loop through each of the result items. So let's type results dot for each, and for each of the result item, I'll just call it result. Let's create an arrow function over here. First of all, we need to create this div with a class of result item. So let's type const result item equals document dot create element div, and we need to give it a class of result item. So let's type result item dot class list dot add result item. Now we need to add this HTML inside the result item. So I'll just copy this HTML from here, and let's go back, and here let's type result item dot inner HTML equals, let's add backticks, and let's paste the HTML over here. Now here we need to add these details. So first of all, we need to add the link. Now for the link, we will create it using the page ID. So let's go ahead and search for something. Let's type web development, and here we can see we have the result. And if you go to query search, here we can see we have the page ID. Now we can generate the link using this page ID. So we can just type, let's create a const. I'll just call it result URL equals backticks https en.wikipedia.org/?curid equals $ curly braces, and here we can pass the result page ID. So let's type result dot page ID. So this will generate the link for us, and let's use this result URL over here. So let's type $ curly braces result URL, and then for the title, let's search for it once again. And here for the title, we have the title. So let's type $ curly braces result dot title, and then we have the result snippet over here. So here, instead of this text, let's go ahead and type $ curly braces result dot snippet, and then in the end we need to go ahead and append this result item to this results container. So let's go ahead and type results container dot append child result item. And now let's go back to the HTML, and let's remove this result item division from here. And now if you go back to our website, we don't have any result item over here. And let's search for something. So let's type web development, and here we can see all the results of web development are displayed over here. And if I open one of these, we have the correct page opened over here because of this URL that we constructed using the page ID. And let's open one more, and we can see that the correct page is being opened. So that's basically how you can add the functionality of this Wikipedia search website using JavaScript. So let's go ahead and remove the console log from our code. So with that, we have completed creating the Wikipedia search website. Right, so that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.